Hello, everybody, and welcome to your June 2020 episode of Sunday Sit Down, the show where anything goes and nothing gets left behind. As always, I am Steve, your friendly neighborhood lawn gnome, and I really want to thank you all for joining me today for a topic that has been in my head for this segment on my channel for the longest of times. And when I was just about ready to put the final touches on this show, I was thinking to myself that this couldn't be one of the more perfect topics to bring to the community's attention today. We know that when we turn on that camera for the first time and we decide that we want to share our voice with the world, we don't really know what's going to happen the day after. Are we going to still be this voice that's trying to get louder, or are we going to end up just having this one perfect moment that so many people from so many backgrounds are going to take to heart and say, this person is someone that I am not the only one that needs to be watching. Everybody needs to watch this person. And just like that, a few subscribers turns into a few hundred, and who knows how long it will take for that 100 to turn into a couple of thousand. But that's when the true test for a content creator takes shape. Now that I have this platform, what exactly is my responsibility for this community? Am I still going to be able to be myself? Do I have to change my personality? Or am I able to actually just keep the status quo and just be my genuine self that everybody liked the first time they actually saw my video? And the big challenge for me, everyone, was I wasn't sure if there was going to be a big voice out there that was going to be willing to dedicate their time. Because one of the other things that we also have to understand is when it comes to those large influential voices is because they have that massive base, they have a lot of other things that they have on their plate to actually keep their channel going. But someone heeded the call, and she's here with me today. And I will also say what makes me so proud to have her today is because I actually discovered her channel when she only had a small voice. And to actually see her show blossom into what it is, and yet she still seems to be that genuine person that I first discovered and appreciated, it makes me happy to know that you can still be yourself and everyone can still appreciate you for who you are. And that, of course, is Britt from Basically Britt. So, Britt, I just want to say good afternoon to you, and thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. This is so lovely, and thank you for the wonderful introduction.
Well, I do my very best, and also just so you know, that was not scripted. That all actually came from my mind and my heart. I don't know how I do it sometimes. I don't know. And yet I'm still nervous about making public speeches. It's kind of funny.
Oh, well, whenever I film, I have to cut out so many things. You're very, eloquent.
I appreciate that. Thank you. But as of course, she is going to be the center of attention for the show today because as my guest, we're going to be talking about being an influential voice. But we also talked a little bit over the last 24 hours, and we both decided that this would also be not just an appropriate time, but an appropriate video to talk about the current situation that's going on in the world today. It started out with just the COVID-19 pandemic that gripped the world. But now we're dealing with another outcry and another troubling moment in our history. And it is now a time that everyone, not just the people in the Black communities, because this is what happened, the death of George Floyd. This is not just about George Floyd. This is about all of the other Black men and women like Amadou Diallo, Trayvon Martin, Breonna Taylor. All of these people, they were taken and their lives were cut short due to reasons that are just unbelievably disturbing. And after George Floyd, it really was the straw that broke the camel's back. And everyone, not just in America, but in the world, are saying enough is enough. And it's not about the political parties. It's not about who you voted for in the last election. Everyone who has a heart or a kind soul is saying it's truly time for change. And I don't have an extremely influential platform, but I still am someone who wants to try and strive to let people know that YouTube is a welcoming place, a place where everyone should have an equal voice. Everyone should have the ability to get their voice out there and let their voice be heard. And I now want to just give the floor to Britt, because even though she is not living in this country of America, she is in a completely different country, but this is not a national event that's taking place. This is a global movement. So Britt, just tell the audiences what's going on your side.
Definitely. So of course, it all started out in America, but it quickly just went over to the entire world. Here in the Netherlands as well, it started out with one protest, but now there are near protests daily, I believe. I actually went to Rotterdam because I was in the city. I was actually meeting up with some friends. So unfortunately, I couldn't go to the protest, but there were so many people, and they wanted it to first be at this one place where there could only be 80 people. Well, that is like too few, and we knew that that was just way too small of an area. And then the mayor actually decided to move the protest to a very, very big area in Rotterdam where there could be nearly like 5,000 people, and it was just really beautiful to see so many people come together on, like I saw it on the news and everywhere. And it's really special seeing that so many people really want to fight for this and stand by, you know, all of the Black people in the community. So it is definitely not only happening in America. Here as well in the Netherlands, we always say that, oh, we're very tolerant, but there is racism in the Netherlands as well. So I think it's so important that even like also here we talk about this and we educate ourselves, and I'm happy that it is happening. And it feels like it feels like a revolution that is coming. So let's hope that this will actually bring change.
So I want to take this opportunity to show a moment of silence, but also in regards to people who have lost their lives from the COVID-19 pandemic, because especially in New York City, where the pandemic affects the United States the most, statistics have shown that it has hit the Black and brown communities extremely hard. They should not have to suffer because of the fact that they don't have as many opportunities right now as white people. And that's also something that needs to change. It needs to be living, education, law enforcement, and also businesses really need to make these changes. And I'm hoping that we will be seeing brighter days for everyone, and that we can all just live our lives together in peace. So as the great Fred Rogers once said, 10 seconds of silence, I'll watch the time. Thank you, everybody, for taking this time with us, and to a brighter future for everybody.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's get to the main topic of discussion here, and that, of course, is about you, Britt, being the influential voice that you are. Again, I first found your channel a long time ago, and
so funny.
yeah, and it's also kind of strange that the two of us never really communicated that much until very recently. But you know what? Better late than never. That's always a good thing. So we've got 7 questions as usual, and we're going to start at the beginning as we always do. So I'd like to discuss your beginnings as a YouTuber, but the big question in regards to that was being an influential voice and seeing where your channel has come today, was being an influential voice one of your first goals when you first put together your YouTube channel?
Definitely not, because I started this booktube channel, of course, talking about books because I was around, it's like 5 years ago, so I was 19, maybe 18 at the time, and I suddenly found this video on YouTube from Sasha from a book Utopia, and I was like blown away. I thought, oh my god, people are talking about books, and I never really had people that wanted to talk about books with me. I didn't have many friends that liked reading, and I just thought, you know what, I'm going to start a YouTube channel and I want to talk about books with people and find out about new books, but never in a million years did I think I would ever reach like nearly 20,000 subscribers, which is crazy. And every time you keep saying like influential voice, it still sounds so like really big because I still feel like this village girl living like I live in a small village in the Netherlands, nothing special, and it feels weird having like so many subscribers, and I don't really think about it that often. But the only reason I started my booktube channel was to talk about books with people. Just really small and cute.
Yeah, I mean, I never really thought that my channel would be a channel like that because I just was someone who just loved to talk about the things that we go to for escape, you know, a good movie, a good piece of music, a good book, you know, even those stupid little Funko Pops that I personally love. And there are still some people that don't understand the beauty of those things, but believe me, there is so much about them that I still love. But I just wanted to get my voice out there because I love talking about these kinds of things. And I just thought that, you know, okay, I'll make a couple of videos, I'll throw out some thoughts and reviews, and I'd like to just see if anybody would listen and have a conversation with me about it, see the similarities, see the differences. I'm still trying to wrap my head around the fact that every booktuber, especially when I go to their booktube newbie tag, I still cannot get over the fact that most of the booktubers in this community just don't have friends who read. It's so funny. It's like we're all scattered throughout the globe, and yet we're all so far apart. It's so weird to me. It really is.
It's such a shame. But yeah, no, I'm so happy that I did because I just made so many friends because of books, which is so amazing. And just I found out about so many new books. I think 99% of the books on my shelf are there because of BookTube.
Yeah, yeah.
So I guess everyone really has an influential voice regarding like books to buy.
Yeah, I mean, you know, books were a very interesting story with me because when I was younger, I really did not enjoy reading books when I was a kid, you know. But when I got into my college years, I started to read, even into high school, you know, but it just took me a very long time to actually find the books that I truly, truly loved and appreciated. So, of course, you know, Harry Potter was the holy grail, and that was basically one of the books that got so many people, young and old, just getting back into the pages of books.
Yeah.
And so books like Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings and the Chronicles of Narnia, you know, that was where I definitely thought that my niche was. But yeah, BookTube was a community that I didn't even know about when I started making my channel. And it's also kind of, well, look, I made my channel back in 2011. So it's been 10 years that I've been here. And and I still just broke 2,000 subscribers, which is kind of crazy. But, you know, I never thought that I would actually get to that point. I mean, when I got to 100, I was shocked. When I got to 500, I was shocked. But, you know, I still kind of felt that even though I had a smaller voice, I still personally felt that as someone who is a little bit older than most people in the community, that's where I kind of felt that even though I had such a small subscriber base, I wanted younger people to know that we are watching you and we want to help you grow. Because for most of us, this is not going to be our career. And at some point in time, you know, we want to pass that torch. So we kind of, at least I hope most of us, want to share our wisdom with everything that we've done here, you know?
That sounds really lovely. Exactly. I also don't think I will be doing this forever, but just the time that I am doing this, I'm hoping just that I can enjoy people with my videos and, give them nice book recommendations. And I will probably have friends for life because of booktubes. So that is just so cool.
So let's get into the second question, and that is, what was your reaction to your very first video? And discuss your feelings about it when you finally made it. Did it discourage you, or did it give you a bigger driving force to move on?
Oh. Well, to be honest, my memory sucks. So I don't think I can properly remember the first video I ever filmed, but I do remember looking back at that video a bit later and thinking like, oh my goodness, what was I awkward? I was afraid of talking to the camera in English, and I could really see that looking back at the old video. But I do remember getting a few comments just when I first started out, and those comments just made my day. And the fact that people were watching those videos and I could reply to those comments and just have a conversation was just, that was really what I wanted to do with my YouTube channel, just have some people watching it and, having fun conversations in the comments. And I think that really inspired me to just make more videos. And I loved when people gave recommendations of like videos they wanted to see, so that I knew, what videos I had to make to, that people enjoyed. But I can't really remember my first video because my memory just sucks.
You see, one of the few things that I do see, especially amongst YouTubers, that after they're officially comfortable in their own skin, they get rid of that first video or those first couple of videos. Not me. That first video that I recorded back in January of 2011 is still on my channel, and it's out there like an open wound.
Oh, really?
Oh, if you want a link, my friend, I will send it to you. It's called The Pilot.
Yes.
The video's called, it's called The Pilot, It Begins. All it is me recording on a cell phone. Basically,
I did that too.
Yeah, basically talking about who I am and what I want to talk about. But then, of course, say, what do you want to talk about? I still remember one quote from that video, and that was, I will even talk about beer.
Yes, I like that.
I have been fortunate. One of my very, very good friends, he has the greatest heritage of all. He is half Irish, Welsh, and Jewish. So it's like, you want to talk about someone who knows good food and good beer? That's this guy. And so he turned me into a beer aficionado, like someone who doesn't just drink beer for the sake of drinking beer, because there are people that do that, and I respect them. They do as they want. But I'm someone that likes to drink a good beer and try to balance it out with a good meal or a good snack, various flavors. That whole grouping of European countries, the UK, Ireland, Germany, and the Netherlands, that's all beer heaven.
So the fun thing is that, of course, the Dutch beer, the most Dutchest beer there is Heineken. Everyone's always obsessed with Heineken, but I personally don't like that whatsoever, and I never get the hype of Heineken. A little beer fact.
You want a fun fact? Heineken was the very first beer that I actually tried on my own, and I thought that it was the greatest thing in the world. And now when I take a look at all of the beers that I have drank in my lifetime, I'm like, what in God's name was I thinking? No offense to your amazing country, but I know that there are so many better beers out there. I mean, a story about me is that when I was in my early and mid 20s, even going into my early 30s, unfortunately, it's been a while since I've done this, but St. Patrick's Day was a true holiday for me and my friends. We would actually all take off work, and we would go into New York City, and we would go to this one bar and we
Mhm.
would get there early so we could get a table, and we would stay there from about 10 o'clock in the morning until 8 o'clock at night.
Amazing. Sounds like a perfect day to me, honestly.
We would just drink and we would eat because they had an amazing menu. We would actually ask our servers to stick around and just chat with us a little bit. We had been there so many times, we actually befriended the managers. So they would actually,
Amazing.
whenever we were there, we would actually come out and they would talk to us. And because we treated our servers with respect, we would actually get around on them, which is awesome.
Perfect.
But the best part is they didn't really serve everybody else like they served us. They would automatically give us our beer, and right with the beer, each of us a glass of water, because they want to make sure that we leave, not bad. And we would all leave sober, because in the last hour and a half, we would actually stop drinking and we would let everything get watered out of our systems. So by the time we
Amazing.
were ready to leave, we would actually be 100% fine.
Oh my god, no hangovers.
No, fun fact, I actually only suffered 2 hangovers in my entire life.
Whoa.
Yeah,
I'm jealous.
yeah, one of them was my bachelor party, and I really don't, yeah. Everything on my bachelor party was wonderful until a tequila hit.
You shouldn't end with tequila.
Yeah, but I had to actually reach out to my cousin and a couple of friends and ask them, did this happen last night? Did this happen last night? The best part about that was I did meet Charles Boyle from Brooklyn Nine-Nine last night, right? And they go, no, and they said, no, that happened. You did meet him.
I was just watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine before I saw this video.
No, I was actually just hanging out with my friends in this awesome bar. It was called Barcade. It is a place where you can get a drink, but it's also got all of these old 1980s and 90s arcade games, so you can play arcade games while you're there. And I was just talking to one of my friends, and my friend who was my next door neighbor, he actually tapped me on the shoulder and says, "Are you a Brooklyn Nine-Nine fan?" I said, "I am." He goes, "I think that's Boyle over there." And it was Joe Latruglio. I was very, very kind. I didn't want to make a big scene. I just said to him, "Excuse me, are you Joe Latruglio from Brooklyn Nine-Nine?" And he says, "Yes, I am." And so we shook hands. He's actually a native New Yorker, and we both like the same baseball team. He was just one of the nicest people. It was such an honor to meet him, completely by accident.
That is so cool. Those moments are the best.
Yeah, so my video is up there. Sorry for the tangent, everybody, but that was actually a lot of fun. I made the video just inquiring, and things definitely improved. Like a couple of my videos, especially in the first year that I was recording, I definitely saw a lot of my missteps. And I never actually asked anybody, what do you want to see? I actually asked everybody, let me know how I'm presenting. That was actually what I asked people. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And
no, I sometimes ask people, like, what videos do you want to see? Because I just had no inspiration. I didn't know what to film.
well,
But it helped because people gave, like, good recommendations of what they wanted to see.
Well, you're very fortunate, because I always say that that's a double-edged sword, because I feel that when you ask people what they want to see, to me, and that's just my own thoughts, I feel like you officially lost your channel and you can't really be your genuine self, because if you officially give in to the fans, not saying that that's not a bad thing, you want to give the people what they want, but I still feel that if that's what you base your video content on, then it's kind of hard sometimes to do things that you really want to do. I mean, when you take a look at the booktube,
I don't know if I agree.
well, that's just what I feel. I'm saying, like, look, we can have differing opinions. That's fine. But I just feel that when someone, especially in the booktube community, wants to talk about something else, they feel that they're going to lose their subscriber base, or some of them, because they're not talking about books. They're talking about something else. But I embrace people's other passions and other thoughts.
Yes, because I do sometimes make videos about, like, a studio vlog when I'm working on my Etsy store, and at first I was really afraid to upload those because I thought people are not going to like it because it's not about books, but people really enjoyed them, so I'm really happy with that, and they don't mind that once in a while I upload a video about a completely different topic, which is so nice.
I think it's just because of the fact that they like the person rather than just the content.
Wow.
That's the truth. It's like if I appreciate a content creator's passion, even if it's about something that I have no knowledge in, like this is the joke that I always say, if your videos are about underwater basket weaving, but you come at me with such passion and you just love underwater basket weaving and I love the person that's talking about it, I will continue to watch your videos.
That is so funny. Yeah, no, true actually, because I sometimes watch videos about topics that I don't even care, like I don't care about those topics, but it's just the YouTuber is fun to watch. So that's definitely true. It's
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that when I made my first video, I just wanted to make more. I just looked at it as a great outlet. That's really what it was for
Yeah,
me. Um,
definitely.
yeah, yeah. So the third question that I have for you is, how did you feel when you hit your first 100 subscribers? And do you remember which video it was that basically caused the
Yeah.
explosion of subscribers for you?
Hmm. Well, the thing is, I had a YouTube channel when I was around 14, 15, and it was about beauty and makeup, and I had it with a friend. And during that time, I think I had around 2,000 subscribers after those 2 years. So I already had that feeling of reaching a certain milestone, but that is 10 years ago. So I can imagine that I must felt like, whoa, that is crazy, but I can't really vividly remember that. But I do remember I once saw a photo of a concert venue that had 2,000 people in there, and that was stated underneath the photo. And then I saw 2,000 people, and then I suddenly realized, oh my goodness, that is so many people. So I think that was the first moment that I genuinely was just shocked by the amount of people that, how many people that is. And that is what I can remember. I cannot remember the first 100 because that is 10 years ago. And again, my memory just sucks. But I do remember when I uploaded my Harry Potter collection, that one was very popular. And I found out that after that, many people subscribed. But it always just goes in these weird curves. Then there's like a long time with hardly any new subscribers, and then suddenly there's this burst, and I don't really know why, because it's not like it's suddenly a very popular video. It's maybe because some moments I watch a lot more booktube videos and I comment a lot more, and I think that is when also people see your channel and when you're active on social media as well. But definitely the Harry Potter video was one that was very that I really like. I saw a big burst in subscribers after that, but then it's just weird curves. I don't really see a perfect like explanation for that, which is
Yeah.
quite interesting.
I'm pretty sure that your Harry Potter tour was the one that influenced my Harry Potter shelf tour.
Really?
I'm pretty sure that that was the case. I may have to go and find your video, and I have to see. I'm pretty sure I commented on that video, so I want to see if that actually, if my comment was, "I'm going to do this too," because it wouldn't be a surprise. But yeah, but you're absolutely right. Shelf tours are definitely a big booster.
Yeah.
And actually, I'm in the middle of recording and posting shelf tour videos right now because it has definitely been a journey for me to get to the number of subscribers that I have right now. And for a while, because it really took me a very long time to get from 1,000 to 2,000. But I specifically said to everybody that when I hit 2,000 subscribers, you are going to get a shelf tour extravaganza. Like, you're not just going to see what's behind these shelves over here. You're going to see everything. And the last couple of weeks, I recorded a total of 10 videos.
Oh my god.
And yesterday, I just posted the first one. So yesterday, everybody who watched got a chance to see all of this. But there's still a couple of videos where you're going to see what's over there, what's over there, what's in the walk-in closet behind me over there, what's
I
in...
love that.
I think everybody also got I think looking back at all that, I think everybody officially got a tour of my house, which is kind of funny.
curious and they want to see that. It's so funny. They just
Yes.
not just ordinary things. If you want to do, for example, a room tour, it's just my room, but people are always just interested in it, and it's really just people are curious creatures.
Well, one of the few things that I once watched in a documentary was the beauty of collecting. And
Mm.
they actually said in sociology and in psychology that a collection of somebody's is not just a collection of inanimate objects. It's not about throwing money out the window. What a collection of something is an extension of a person's personality.
That's true. Yeah, that's very interesting.
And they actually say that a collection, because of that, is a way for people to reach out to others, to find commonalities, to invite people into their lives. It's like you bring somebody into your house. I mean, like one of my very good friends, blatantly bookish, her name is Marissa. She became one of my very good friends, she and her husband. And the first thing that she did when she and her husband came to meet us, they were still dating at the time, they weren't married just yet, but she immediately wanted to see my wife's books because my wife is a big reader. She has a lot of books. So that's what she wanted to do. She wanted to see her collection. Her husband, he wanted to go over and see all of my movies because when you take a look at someone's collection, you see what that person really is like. And the more commonalities you find, the better chances that friendship will grow.
Yeah, I recognize that very much because whenever I'm at a friend's house or someone I just met, if they have a bookshelf, I'm going to check out their bookshelf.
Yep. I mean, I love the reactions that some people say, like, you know, oh, I have that too. I love that. My favorite reaction is, where the hell did you get that? That's amazing.
I love that. If it's like a very unpopular book or something.
Yeah.
Not very well known.
Yeah, because I think what's one of the best parts is especially when you just randomly bought something and never in a million years did you think it was going to become something that was so rare or so valuable. Let's talk about some Harry Potter. It's like, I love the books and I love the movies, but when it comes to the movies, I have the ultimate editions. That's like
the big box or
the
something.
big boxes. Yeah.
I remember that one.
You can't find those anymore, apparently.
Really?
Like you can
cool.
find them on Amazon, but you gotta pay like about $40 to $100 for a box because apparently they were limited, I think.
Oh, whoa. Well, that's cool that you have it then. Definitely precious.
Yeah, so I'm just like saying to myself, I know that these are special. I just want to get them. You know, that was just it. And it's like when it comes to something like Harry Potter, I want as much of it as I can get. You know?
I love that, yeah.
Yeah. The first video where I saw a massive explosion in subscribers was one of my Gnome Doc series. I'm actually going to be talking about those in one of my videos in the next couple of weeks, but when I made my Gnome Doc segment, ironically, it goes back to Harry Potter. The year that I started making my YouTube channel was the year that the very last Harry Potter movie made it to theaters. That movie's going to be 10 years old in 2021.
That is unbelievable.
I know.
I can still remember going to the cinema, seeing that film.
Yeah, and on that topic, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone is going to be 20.
Yeah, what the?
Exactly.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that on VHS. I still have the VHS of the first and second film, and I'm never going to get rid of that, even though I can't even play them anymore. I don't have the VHS player, but how freaking cool.
No,
Like the VHS tape.
I like that attitude. I like that attitude a great deal because that's the way I feel about the original Star Wars trilogy. I have the original Star Wars trilogy on VHS.
Don't get rid of them.
No,
get rid of them.
never.
Yeah.
Those I won't get rid of. Those are collector's items. End of story.
Exactly.
But so my Gnome Docs, I made them based on Harry Potter because I said to myself, I can't just review Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. I gotta do something that encompasses all the movies. So I turned it into a documentary 4 parts, basically discussing, you know, the creations of the books, the production into the movies, etc., the actors, basically just a culmination of the entirety of it. And after I made those 4 videos, I was like, I want to do this again.
I want to say, like, it's cool if you do this video that was just, you know, an idea, and it turns out it's so fun and you want to do more of those videos and make it into like a series. I have yet to come up with such an idea, but I'm sure it will happen one day.
If you need someone to brainstorm with, I could definitely help.
Yes, please.
So one of the things that I loved growing up was superheroes, and I loved the television show Batman the Animated Series and all of the other spin-off shows that the creators had afterwards. So I wanted to make a documentary about those. The first video, it's still one of my most watched videos, and it is very, very close to hitting 200,000 views.
Amazing. Whoa. I love that for you.
And that video basically saw my subscriber base explode. And so I decided that this year I'm going to do something for the very first time. I'm going to continue the story. So we already have parts 1 through 4, but this year I'm going to do parts 5 through 8, because 9 years almost has passed, and there has been a great deal more of this story that has unfolded. And I said to myself, now is the time to continue it for the fans, because there had been comments saying, will you make more?
I always love it people say that they still remember that video and they want to see more.
Yeah, I think what's kind of funny is the fact that I have gotten more comments about more for that one and less about the one I did about the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I decided to do that one a few years later, and that story stops right before Avengers Infinity War got put into theaters. So that's kind of interesting how it does not get the viewership that the one about the DC animated universe gets. That's very interesting to me.
Yeah, because I would think that just the whole Marvel universe is a lot more popular than the animated DC universe, even though I have hardly any knowledge about superheroes and Marvel and DC, but still, if I look online and on Twitter, everyone is always talking about the Marvel films. I've only just recently started watching them from the beginning, like in release date order last year, because I'd never watched a Marvel film before.
That's okay.
But they're not really my favorites. Oops. I just loved Guardians of the Galaxy.
Well, I have thoughts about Guardians of the Galaxy, and I can definitely say why that movie is as good as it is. But,
Oh, I thought you didn't like it. I was like, that's how...
No. The thing about Guardians of the Galaxy is, first of all, the history of Guardians of the Galaxy. That is a comic book that's been around since the 1960s and has gone through so many changes in its lineup. But because of the fact that, and I said this to a friend yesterday, the movies like Guardians of the Galaxy, Ant-Man, Doctor Strange, Black Panther, why are those specific movies so popular? It's because of the fact that the creation of the films don't have as many restrictions as Captain America or Iron Man or Spider-Man, because one little mistake, the fanboys go berserk.
Oh, yes, exactly.
But
they can still explore the story sort of in the films.
Yes, but with those specific films like Guardians of the Galaxy, because there isn't as solid of a fan base as some of these bigger names in the Marvel comic book world, you have a lot more free range. You have a little bit more room to create and change things just a slight, and not many people are going to know about it. And because of the fact that Guardians of the Galaxy was one of the most beloved in the entirety of the universe, it's a fantastic film. It really is. It's fun.
Yeah.
It really is.
That's just so much fun.
The newest issue releases. They rebooted Guardians of the Galaxy very, very recently, and that book is flying off the shelves. People are reading it.
Really?
So
That's so cool.
yeah,
I didn't know.
yeah, it's just because of the fact that there is a young writer for Marvel Comics now named Donny Cates, and he is doing wonders for
Mm-hmm.
Marvel Comics right now. He is this brilliant young writer, and he's sort of roping all of his stories together, sort of like into his own little Marvel section of the Marvel Universe. And it involves Guardians of the Galaxy and a character named Silver Surfer, and even Spider-Man's involved in this one. And right now he is writing Thor, and I am reading that story, and it's fantastic. It's just beautiful writing. And Thor is right now at the peak of his popularity. I mean, Thor is a well-known character, but Thor is also not one that many people really cared about as much until the movies were made. I find that really interesting.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that because I only started watching them last year. I only knew one of my best friends, Michelle. She's a very into Marvel, so that's the only time I ever heard about those films. But I'm happy
Well,
that I'm finally watching them.
yeah, I mean, I'll just let you know that you'll be very surprised with how popular the Warner Brothers DC animated universe is right now.
Yeah,
It has been for almost 30 years now. It's extremely popular.
I did not know that whatsoever. I've never watched anything from the animated universe before, so it's just a complete like a world I know nothing about.
Yeah, I don't know if you could. I don't know if you'd be able to get your hands on any of the old Batman the Animated Series, but I really think that you would really, really, really love them. Just because they are just a cut above an average cartoon. Like, it really is for fans of the characters, young and old. It was one of the most popular shows on television in the early 1990s that was watched by kids and watched by adults.
That's always so lovely. Hmm.
Yeah, it is great. It is great. But yeah, when I made that documentary film series, um, it just exploded. People just loved what I did, and they wanted more. So this year they're going to get more, and it's
Yeah.
also one of the main reasons why DC Animation is its own separate segment on my channel, and it's another live show that I do with my friend Brian. It's just because of the fact that there is such a fan base. And just a few weeks back, I don't know if you follow Margaret from the Word Nerd. She is so awesome. She is a booktuber and an avid comic book reader, and we both did a live stream about DC Comics because Marvel is so big right now. We wanted to actually talk about the DC world and, like, is it really underappreciated? What about it is great? We talked about the comics, and we talked about the TV shows, and we talked about the recent films. It was an excellent, excellent conversation, and I would also highly recommend that you check out Margaret's channel, everyone, because she is awesome.
I will.
She's got an amazing personality. She is just into everything that she does, and I love it.
Oh, that sounds great. Definitely going to check
Yes,
it out. Thank you.
right. Yes, and let's go into the fourth question, and that is, as you noticed your subscriber base really increasing, did it cause you to make any major changes to yourself in regards to your format? And also, when you noticed that more people were watching your videos, did it
Mhm.
make you a little bit more wary of yourself when you were presenting, like making sure that you were not saying anything that could cause a possible outburst? Because especially in these times, a lot of us are a little bit nervous now because a lot of us, unfortunately, and honestly, it shouldn't be the case, but I am not going to lie about the fact that I feel this way. I kind of feel at this point in time that every video that I make, someone's judging me and someone's watching me.
That's one thing I have too. When I just started out making videos, I didn't really think too much about the things that I said, and it's not that they were offensive in any way, but later on, I really try to think, okay, don't swear too much, because in real life, I can I swear quite a bit,
Me
but
too.
I just want to make sure that I don't swear in my videos, or like hardly, just like basically no swear words. And also, just thinking a bit more about how I, you know, talk about something, and not just say the first words that pop into my mind, because they might, because like also English is not my native language, so I might not really understand a certain word correctly, or like the meaning of a word, so I might use it wrongly in a sentence, you know? So it definitely made me just think more before I said something in a video. And I think also on social media, or just, you know, Twitter and Instagram. For example, on Instagram, when I was younger, I probably posted some drunk stories or drunk photos. Well, I have to make sure that I don't do that anymore. And like I can, but I don't want to. Like, yes, we all get drunk sometimes, but I just make sure that I don't post that online. And when I'm filming like in my house or outside, I want to make sure that people cannot see where I live, you know, those type of things. So it definitely made me wary in terms that I'm just thinking a bit more about how I film, what I film, how I talk. So it's definitely a little bit of a change. Not massive, just think about it a little bit more.
Right. Yeah, I definitely also try to keep the language down. I mean, I think one of the funny things that I personally feel when I make my videos, it's like if I know that the content is not going to be appropriate, or I feel that it's a time where I can actually just, you know, let loose a little bit, I put up the viewer discretion is advised at the very beginning of the video, just because it's also just because of the fact that I love when I see that on television. It just, even when I was when I was a teenager and I watched those types of things on television, it said like, this is for mature audiences only. Like, it's a cool, yeah, I'm watching this, you know, like this is cool.
I
But
remember that too. Yeah.
yeah, it's just a good feeling. I mean, like, oh, come on. When I first turned 17, the first thing that I did on my 17th birthday was I went with my best friend to go see a rated R movie. That was like, and we were able to just show our driver's licenses, and we were saying, yes, we're going to see this movie. I'm going. Unfortunately, the movie sucked, but that was probably the point. Yeah, it was a bad movie. Yeah, oh well, oh well. But no, it's just like, I know that language is something that I got to be watchful for, but also, especially at the end of last year when everybody was so nervous about the COPPA laws, and like, you have to make sure that you know that your video is not for children, otherwise you're not going to get the ads that you want for the monetary stuff. But I know myself, even though I'm not personally doing anything vulgar on my channel, I know that when I'm talking about something, even if it's something that is child friendly, I mean, look, I don't know how many of my videos that you watch, but I don't know if you watch any of my videos where I dedicated to watching and reviewing Disney movies. But
That's a difficult thing with these, like, if it's appropriate for children, because it's
yeah,
about Disney, but your videos are not made for children, like specifically for children.
exactly. Because if I'm actually, because when I watch my video, yes, I'm reviewing Frozen 2, but I'm not talking about Frozen 2 in a way that a child is
No,
going to
exactly.
like it. It's like, I talk about the animation, I talk about the voice actors, I talk about the history. A 6-year-old is going to turn on that video and start watching and go, boring, and go to the next one. You know, that's just the way I know it's going to happen. I'm talking to adults. That's what I know I'm doing.
Yeah.
And when I look at the statistics of my videos, I see that my average watcher is way over the appropriate age. So it's not a big concern. But I still feel, you know, once again, you have a much larger subscriber base than I do. But I still feel that I have some kind of a responsibility to not just do what I love, but also, you know, just be a positive person and let people know that when they're watching videos, like, I always love a video where somebody says, I love the way you talked about this movie, or I love the way that you talked about this CD. It's like, I would love to talk about this myself. I was like, well, what's stopping you? Make a
Mhm.
video. Let me hear your voice.
Yeah, there are so many people that are always like, oh, I wish I would make YouTube videos, or I'm afraid to do so. But please just do it. There are always people that want to watch it and just, have conversations with in the comments. So I just hope that anyone who is watching this and who might be thinking like, oh, I want to make a booktube channel, but I'm scared or something, just don't be, just try it and just do it. It's honestly, it's so much fun.
You're going to find true decency here, even though it feels like there is none right now. But I feel that people are going to appreciate you, especially if you come at them with sincerity and truthfulness and show your genuine self. I mean, look, I still get comments to this very day on movies that many people love, and I absolutely despised them. Like, I just did not like these movies at all.
Hmm.
But some of them truthfully see that this person really doesn't like this. Like, he's not doing this for hits. I mean, I still think the most hilarious comment I got on my review of the famed Francis Ford Coppola film Apocalypse Now, this person says, wow, what a review coming from a guy who has Road Trip and Evolution in his DVD collection. I respond to that person saying, I'm not allowed to like Ivan Reitman movies? No response back. I got the guy.
But some people are just with comments. Luckily, I never really get mean comments or just comments that I think like, what the hell, why would you comment something like that? So I'm really happy with that. But I did once get a comment, and I was so happy that that person commented that, because I used to say the word literally a lot, but I didn't realize it up until that person commented it, and I was so happy that person did, because when I rewatched that video, I thought, oh my goodness, Britt, stop saying literally. And now I'm just aware of the fact, if I want to say it, like if I feel I'm going to say it, I'm not going to say it, because I just realized how freaking annoying hearing that word is. So I'm really happy that someone commented that, actually.
That's constructive criticism at its
Yeah,
finest. And
I
it's
love
nice
that.
to have those kinds of people, because I actually have found out, and it's unfortunately, it's still something that I'm having trouble shaking. And I am pretty certain that this has happened already during the last couple of minutes that we've been talking. I have a big issue with interrupting people.
Oh, I
I
haven't. You don't.
I
Well,
am
that's
just
not in this
someone.
video.
It's because it's this is the way that it is, and I'll just throw it out there because, like, I was talking to a very good friend of mine who was saying to me, like, I say something to you and you immediately cut me off and you tell me why I'm right and you're wrong. I mean, it's just because of the fact that my passion gets in the way of my logical thinking, but at the same time, it's also because of the fact that I'm a fast talker.
Uh-huh.
And you have no idea how many times my wife and I argue with each other because she's a big fast talker. I'm a big fast talker. We interrupt each other at least 100 times a day, and at least once a day, although I think it has been getting better, we haven't been saying, let me finish to each other.
Mhm. Oh yeah.
I,
But
I
it's
can't help
but
it.
it's good if people say it, because then you do get aware if you might be interrupting someone. So I would also want people to say it to me. And that is why I'm so happy that someone said, like, talked about the word literally. Otherwise, I would probably have just continued using it again and again and again without realizing how
Yeah,
annoying it sounds. So I'm happy that someone commented that.
yeah, and I think
You know, it
probably,
was one of those comments. Oh, sorry, what?
no, please, you go first and then I'll go.
Yeah, because it was one of those comments that was actually like, you say it so often and it's so annoying, and she was genuinely annoyed by it, but I still took it as, criticism that I could actually use to
Yeah.
improve.
My biggest critic is definitely my mom and my dad. They don't watch my videos, but even in real life, they said something very similar to me. They said stop using the word basically.
Yeah, but sometimes I just those words that they're nice to use, and I don't know, they fit in every sentence. But I can understand if people might find it annoying if we say it constantly.
Yeah.
So I'm happy if people just point it out.
Yeah. They said stop using basically, stop using your hands, and stop pacing.
But I love talking with my hands. That always just, I know.
There's a famous line that is said in the world of sales, and it is featured in one of my favorite movies. I don't know if you've ever heard of the movie Boiler Room. It's a very interesting movie. I'll actually be reviewing it later on this year because it actually is the 20th anniversary of the film. It was a film that actually was one of the first movies that Vin Diesel was in. Very, very good movie. And in the world of sales, they say that when you're trying to make a sale, get up and move around. Motion creates emotion.
That's a really good one. Because I feel like if I use my hands whilst talking, it like enhances what I want to say, or like it, I don't know, I like it.
I feel that when you do actually use your body language, it enhances what you're trying to get across. It's like when you use, when you are in motion, it enlarges the passion that you have. That's what I feel. But
that's what I feel as well.
It's like, but it's kind of funny because it sort of contradicts it, because when you go for an interview for a job, everybody says, keep your hands down. Don't use your hands. A very interesting tip that someone once told me was, have a pen in one of your hands when you're interviewing, because when you do that, all of your emotion and all of your passion is squeezed into said pen. So all of that hand flailing that you want to do, all that movement that you want to do, it's all going into that one piece of your body because you're squeezing that pen so hard. Because you know you can't do anything. You can't use your hands. You got to squeeze it into that pen.
I have never heard of that tip before, but it actually makes sense.
It really does. It's what I've learned about job interviews, and when I was in financial sales, I learned that that's what you had to do when you were talking to clients. Always have a pen in your hand. Always.
Thanks for the tip.
Yeah, no problem. I always appreciate sharing with others what I've learned. I mean, look, it's my age in this community is definitely something that I hold as a positive thing. I mean, even though the long joke of 2020 for me is I'm the old fart in the room, but I feel that because I've been here for so long, and the fact that I actually started making these videos at an older age, I feel that my life experience has really come into play, because when I see a lot of these content creators who are new, they're very young. Some of them are only even going into high school or getting into college. There's not that many YouTubers out there, although I am seeing a great deal of them now, especially in the booktube community. A lot of moms, women in their late 20s and 30s and even going into their 40s, parents. That's what the community is evolving into. Seeing some of these creators that started as very young people have now been sharing their own life experiences. When I look back at what I have gone through in my 10 years here, I've left my job and went to grad school. I met my wife. I married my wife. I bought a house. I'm like, these are life milestones that, even though my subscriber base is small, people who have known me and who have been watching me have shared this. So we're actually touching upon the fifth question right now. So let's elaborate on that a little bit. And that is, how well do you think that you take criticism, and what advice can you give to people who might in fact be dealing with it? Because let's face it, we do have our subscriber base, but we're gonna get those comments that are just not what we want. But we did
Mm-hmm.
mention constructive criticism, but sometimes we're also going to get some of those comments that are really not appropriate. I know that you mentioned your friend Michelle. I'm subscribed to her as well and have been subscribed to her for a few years. I still remember that one day where she posted a comment that she got that was extremely unnecessary and inappropriate. And
Yeah, I remember that.
I just don't understand why people do that. I mean, to a degree, I think it's because of the fact that it's anonymity. You know, they can get away with
Yeah,
it.
true. That person will probably never say that in real life. And I think whenever I read a hate comment or a comment that is really negative about something that is like totally unnecessary to talk about, the first time, I can't really remember like what type of comment it was, but I remember the first time I read like a proper hate comment, and I just thought, I was kind of, it didn't make me feel good, of course not. But I quickly realized that this person must have like doesn't have to do anything better, like nothing better to do in life than posting a stupid hate comment on a book video. Like, come on. And then I quickly just kind of got over it, because as much as it is easy to really dwell on that one comment and keep thinking about that one negative comment compared to all of the positive comments, it's really easy to stick to thinking about that one negative comment. I just push myself basically to just try and get it out of my head, because there's nothing you can do about it. That person is just a crappy person posting such a crappy comment that is so unnecessary. And now whenever I get a hate comment and it is, I look at it and I think that person is just, I'm sorry, but you suck. And I
Yeah.
just get it out of
Yeah, I have a name for those kinds of people. I call them basement virgins because they have nothing better to do with their lives, and they probably have not. You see, the thing that I always say about people like that is there's a very good chance that these people are extremely miserable, and the only way to make things right in their own little world is to make everybody else in this world feel
Yeah.
just as miserable as they are. And that's a horrible quality to have as a person.
Mhm.
But
Exactly.
But when it comes to negative feedback, it comes in different forms. And what it really is, as influential voices or people who understand themselves and know themselves, it's really an opportunity to take a look at each of these comments and say, well, which one is worth addressing and which one is just worth getting rid of? Like, it's
Mhm.
just a plain old "you stink," or "you are such a loser," or something even worse, like a racial slur. Those go immediately into the trash bin and most likely will get reported, because people like that should not be getting
Mhm.
platform exposure.
Mhm.
That's number one. But then there are those people who say, you have no idea what you're talking about, and here is why. That's a person that is trying to prove to you, with backing up their claims, why they disagree with you. And that allows a conversation. That's important.
True.
And I also feel that those kinds of comments, I call it salt in the open wound, meaning you should not be afraid to keep those comments out there in the open, not just for your own personal self-reflection, but also those people who follow you, who know you, who love you, who believe that you truly are a great person. They'll find those comments and they'll go to bat for you.
That always warms my heart about people like sticking up for you. That is just unbelievable. I can't believe
Yeah.
that.
And that's,
Luckily, I've never. I'm sorry.
no, please, I'm sorry.
Oh,
See, this is the problem. We're both fast talkers here. This is why this happens. You see what I mean?
exactly. No, but I wanted to say that luckily I can't even remember where there was really a comment where someone really disagreed with me. So I've never really had one of those conversations in the comments. But yeah, that was actually it. Not very informative.
No, I mean, like, I still remember one of the first few years I made a review on The Amazing Spider-Man starring Andrew Garfield, and I just didn't like it. And someone actually made a comment. It was mostly negative, but the person literally poured his or her heart and soul out into that comment saying, this is why you're wrong. And we just had a conversation. We must have like bounced back and forth about 5 or 6 times. And then the next day that person subscribed to my channel.
Amazing.
Because I acknowledged the person. I gave them my thoughts. I gave that person my respect. And because of the fact that we had that conversation, we got to let those guards go down a little bit and say, oh, this person really isn't so bad. You know, because like a couple of other things that person would comment on is, how do you feel about this movie? Or how do you feel about that movie? And then we noticed that we started discovering that we had a lot more common ground outside of that just one movie. And that's why that person ended up following me afterwards.
It's difficult to base a person like on one movie review. So it's good that you talked about it and found out that you do have things in common, which is great.
And I mean, I also feel that, you know, one of the things that's happening right now is one of the books that a lot of people are reviewing right now is Songbirds and Snakes, you know, the new Hunger Games book. I have to admit, and I say this to every person who I've already commented on, I'm saying, I appreciate the fact that you enjoyed the book, but with all due respect, I have no interest in it, but I'm glad to see that it's actually being enjoyed by people because
I'm still reading it.
I read The Hunger Games, and I hate Mockingjay. I hate the book. Love the movies, though.
I thought it was great.
I love the movies, though, but I'm not a big fan of the book. I'm not going to lie. When I finished reading Mockingjay, I wanted to throw the book across the room. But because I treat my books and all my other items like they are my children, I held back. But my issues with it were because of the fact that it was not because of the fact that the story was different, but the fact that I personally felt that the book was poorly written. It needed to be visual, which is why I liked the films more. I did.
I can understand what you mean with it needed to be visual, because they were talking about how they were in the Capitol, but I also couldn't really visualize the Capitol in front of me. Whereas with the films, you didn't really see, like, it was basically bombed down. And also in the underground and stuff.
And it made me so angry because The Hunger Games and Catching Fire were great books. And they were beautifully written. And I just didn't understand how she went from here to here. I was like, how did this happen? So it was not because of the fact that it wasn't hatred for the book, per se. It was more so a fan being let down. That's what it is, you know?
Yeah, that can happen, so that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I still have the books. I mean, I know one day I will go back and reread them. I mean, look, I'm rereading the Lunar Chronicles right now, and I'm finally up to Winter. But my attitude about the books are still the same. Love the first 2. The last 2 are such a slog for me. I mean,
so the third one was actually my favorite.
You know, Cress is a fan favorite, and I read that book again, and my attitude is still the same. I wish that if like 100 pages of that book were taken out, it would have been. I just felt like it just lagged, and I know that so many people love Cress, but I look at Cinder and I look at Scarlet. I see these true, ballsy, powerful women. And then Cress comes in and is damsel in distress. I'm like, how do you make that complete 180 to me? It's just like...
I read those a long time ago, but I remember... Oh, I'm sorry.
No. I was actually waiting for you to respond.
Because I read that one a long time ago, but I remember that the love interest in book 3, I can't remember his name anymore, but
Thorn.
he was really cool. Sorry?
Thorn.
Oh yeah, Thorn! I forgot, but I remember loving him very much, and that is why I probably like the book a lot. I
No,
thought
that
she was very
you're right though. Captain Thorne is definitely one of the best, and you're absolutely right. The relationship between him and Cress is great, but even though Cress is like an expert hacker, it's just like every 15 minutes she's in tears. I'm like, what is happening? You know, it's just like that. I was just like, again, like I just wanted another awesome, fast-paced story with so much more action because Scarlet's still my favorite of the four. It still is. That's such a great, great story. I love it. I love it so much. And Winter, to me, I'm like, I'm only 52 pages in because I've had so much work to do. I haven't been able to pick that book up. But that book, when I last remembered reading it, like, it felt like a Scooby-Doo episode to me because all the characters just dispersed and it was from so many different point of views, and I was just like, they split up and they kept trying to solve things. I literally was expecting when Queen Lavanna was finally defeated that she was going to yell out, and I would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for you meddling kids. Like, I was seriously waiting for that to actually happen, but I don't know. I mean, like, I'm in the middle of Winter right now. I'm going to finish it hopefully in the next couple of days because thank goodness my workload has officially subsided. Like I had three big projects that pretty much all hit their peak last week. So it was literally like Hurricane Sandy all over again for me. It was such a stressful week.
Yeah, no, I'm happy that you finally have some time to finish it, hopefully this week.
I hope so. I hope so because when before the lockdown, when I would go home from work, my commute was somewhere between 45 to 50 minutes. My commute home was my reading time. So for a while, that exact same time frame was my reading time at home. But it's been disrupted because these last few weeks, especially last week, has just been so strenuous work-wise. But I am actually taking a week off in 2 weeks because I need a rest. I just need to rest.
Yeah, very important.
Yeah, so so handling criticism, whether it's just a matter of really trying to see exactly what that person is coming across as, and you just have to make that judgment call in regards to whether or not you want to engage that person or not. That's really what it is.
Yeah, definitely.
But I still feel that, especially when it comes to some of those negative comments that are not necessarily there for just the sake of someone making someone else feel bad, I feel that getting rid of those is not a healthy thing for us as creators. We need to see those. We got to go back to them because we never know that if someone really gave us negative feedback, but that person gave us a lot of intelligent reasons to back up their claim. I feel that those kinds of comments are what allows us to learn.
I hardly ever delete comments because of that fact, actually, or like even if it's a comment that is solely negative for the purpose of being negative and annoying, I will delete that. But comments that have just different opinions or with the literally, I don't delete that because not everything on YouTube and with those YouTube videos is perfect and happy and positive, so I think it's also good for viewers to see that there can be different opinions.
Absolutely. So the sixth question is going to be a fun one, I think. One of the pieces of this question is something that you have not done yet, but one of them is something that really is taking off for you. So I would like everyone who's watching this to learn a little bit about your Etsy shop, as well as a curiosity for myself in regards to a goal that some content creators who have the influential power that they have the ability to go to some of these big conventions and actually be on panels. So along with talking about the creation of your Etsy shop, we could talk a little bit about how it goes hand in hand with you being a content creator, but also, is being on a panel one of your goals now? Like, do you feel that what you have been doing here and the knowledge that you have gained, is that something that you would like to share in regards to people who do appreciate you and admire you, and also like to just get an opportunity to see one of their favorite creators on a panel just talking about things that they love? Is that something you'd like to do sometime in the future?
It would be, yes, I would definitely like to do that. That would just be like this cool step further into this whole YouTube thing. I've never been on a panel before, but I have. I once went to this young adult literature festival, but then in the Netherlands. But I still can't believe that there are so many people like watching me. And this one girl came up to me during when I was just walking there, and I was just completely like, oh my god, I can't believe that you recognized me and that she wanted to talk to me, and it felt really strange and I felt really awkward. So it's just, I've never talked on a panel before, but I would like, it would be really cool, but I think I would get really nervous, honestly. Yeah,
I'm pretty
it would
sure there's a lot of people that I'm sure there's a lot of preparation involved. So I'm
yes,
pretty sure that the confidence levels will be a little bit higher, because I'm
I
pretty
hope.
sure that when I've been to BookCon and I see some of these big names just so casually talking about topics, I am without a doubt certain that these people do a lot of work beforehand.
I think so too, yeah. So if I ever do get the opportunity to talk on a panel, I would definitely do the work beforehand so that I don't get a brain, like that my brain stops working and then I don't know what to talk about. Yeah, definitely would be cool. But then with my Etsy shop, so I have always loved drawing and painting, and I don't know exactly how the idea came to mind of designing bookmarks, but I just decided to design bookmarks and get them printed. That was like a year and 2 months ago, I believe. And you know what? I just decided to sell them on Etsy, and I didn't believe that so many people wanted to get those bookmarks, and I was completely just in shock. But my YouTube channel has definitely helped with that, because I can like show it to people and, you know, turn it around like, oh look, this is what it looks like. And I think that is um you know, what people also like about those products, just seeing it on camera, and then if they're holding it in their hands, it's just, it really helped, because I can see on Etsy, looking at the statistics and stuff, where people came from in terms of traffic, and a lot of people always come from YouTube. So on that, like, I'm very fortunate having this following on YouTube, you know, because just a lot of people go from YouTube to Etsy, and I'm so grateful. And I just, doing Etsy is still my favorite thing, besides YouTube. It's just so wonderful.
That's great.
Also, reading comments of people when they got an order in the mail, it just makes my day, and I cannot wait to continue making new things.
Yeah, I have to be honest with you. I really need to look at your shop a little bit more often, because I would like to see more of what you're creating, because one of the few things that I personally love is being able to actually meet fellow content creators in person. And I cannot get over that day actually came, you know, going to BookCon and actually meeting people that you watch, but also just getting the opportunity to have conversations. And I met two specific booktubers one year, and one of them gave me a bookmark that she made, and one of them gave me a business card. And the next, and you want to know what I did after that? And I don't want to toot my own horn, but this is the true story. I handed them back to them and said, "Will you sign them?"
That is so sweet. But it's just how
Because
fun is it to suddenly see someone that you always see online on the screen, and then you see it and see that person in real life. Because whenever I met some booktubers as well, when we were just hanging out, when I, for example, was in England, and then I decided to meet up with Kevin from Irish Reader, and it is just so cool seeing someone in real life.
I will tell you, I met Kevin too, and he is fantastic.
Kevin is amazing.
He is one of the greatest booktuber people that I've ever actually met in real life. I've also had the ability to meet some people who just actually said they were in the area, like they were actually visiting New York, and because of the fact that I work in the city, 4 blocks away from Times Square one way and 3 blocks away from the Empire State Building the other way. So basically, I'm working right near the tourist hotspots. So if there were people that were actually in the city that actually just had a little bit of time, I've met some of them for coffee. I've met some of them for lunch. You know,
How
I
cool
hope
is that?
it's great. And I mean, like, look, I'm hoping that there will come a day where I actually get to meet you too, because I want to meet as many people that I know are good people out there. I mean, obviously I was hoping to actually go to BookCon this year, and I knew that
Yeah,
there were so many people coming, and I wanted to meet everybody that I hadn't met in person just yet. But I actually had one of those moments that you said earlier, like when I first went to BookCon, I was just walking on the line, my wife was with me, and all of a sudden this young girl who actually watches me, unfortunately she's not making content anymore, but I did have her on as a guest. Her
Mm-hmm.
channel name was Random Reader. She just waved me down. And she just wanted to shake my hand and say, it's so nice to meet you. And she was with her mother, and you want to know what I did? I basically asked them, where have you guys gone? Do you need any tourist tips? Like, I'll tell you guys where I'm
Wow.
going.
How cool! Right. I remember I went to Ed Sheeran's concert in Amsterdam a few years back. I went together with Michelle, and then we were just sitting down, and the girl in front of us, she turned around and she said, "I watched both of your videos," and we just looked at each other like, "Are you kidding me?" That was so weird. But then the moment she said that, I immediately thought, "Oh my God, she knows me," and now I have to. I immediately thought like I have to come across maybe like I don't you know it was I didn't want to come across as like different than who I was, but if I'm just with my friends, I'm probably like I'm myself, of course, but I was just a bit more aware of all the things that I did and said to Michelle. It was really cool, but yeah, you were
Yeah,
instantly much more aware of the things that you were doing.
yeah. I think what's
What-
actually kind of funny is when I was at BookCon, one of those 2 years, I went 2 years in a row. Um, the first year that I went there, I was just casually talking with a couple of people at the Javits Center, just
Mhm.
on the stairs. And literally, while we're having our conversation, Jesse the Reader, Katie Tastic, and Pulling Bananas Books all walked down the stairwell that we were all standing on. And we all just looked at each other, and then we all looked back and was like, that was pretty awesome, even though we didn't
Yeah.
actually say hello to everybody. And the next year, I was just having a conversation with a fellow YouTuber who I had already met in person. And I was literally standing like less than 500 feet away from Sasha Alsberg and Tashopolis. And I was like, I don't watch their channels, but I know who they are. Is it weird that I might just want to walk over and say, hello, you people, it's nice to meet you? You're like, I didn't know what to do.
No, it's like that's just normal people, like with their friends, but because you see them all the time on just your YouTube, it's really cool seeing them in real life. I remember that Jessie the Reader suddenly followed me on Twitter a few months ago, and I was just like, oh my God, that's Jessie the Reader. I was still
Yeah.
fangirling a little bit as well.
Yeah, everybody, I just want to say that this is not because of the current situation. This is actually just something that actually happened years ago. I haven't checked in a while, but at one point in time, Francina Simone was actually subscribed to me.
That's so cool. I love her.
Yeah,
She's
I
really
don't know if she still is, but I know that she was following me at one point in time. And I think that was like, oh man, it must have been about 5 years ago when I first found
Mhm.
her channel. Yeah, maybe a little bit later on in that. No, about 4 years, but I don't know if she's still there. But if she's not, that's her thing. She can do her. That's fine. No problem. But yeah, it's just like, it's also really nice to see that when it comes to whether they're influential voices or not, it's just like people are meeting each other and people are actually sharing life events with each other. Like, I know that I mentioned Marissa from Blatantly Bookish. I mention her a lot just because of the fact that she really has become a very good friend. She and her husband are a very good friend to me and my wife. It's just because of the fact that we both were talking to each other in the comments, and we literally, through the comments, found out that we literally at one time were just practically neighbors. Like, we lived 15 minutes away from each other. She was like, I think that we should just meet up. And the fact that I have said to people, I have gone to a booktuber's wedding. That's like weird. The fact that she is my dentist.
Oh yeah, you told me. How?
Yeah, it's just like
Such a cool world.
Yeah, and I'm just like, when I knew that, and I just said to her, look, I do need a new dentist. Would you be willing? Yeah,
That's cool.
so,
Your friend is your dentist.
yeah, I mean, I was looking for a dentist, and I just asked, will you? And also because of the fact that the office is close to where I live, it's easy for me. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if I will ever be someone who becomes that influential and be on a panel like that. However, that's why I made this show, because it's not about me getting myself out there. I mean, I will always say to the person who is my guest at the end of it, like, would you like me to send you the video? It's not about me trying to get more subscribers. It's about me wanting my guest to show a different natural side of theirs. Like, I want every creator, big or small, to let their fans really see the person at the end of the day, because that's why I like the newbie tag so much, because that's when that creator is at their most innocent and genuine and truthful. And that's what I feel sometimes when it comes to the big influential voices, that their genuine person gets lost. And especially during the times that we're in right now, there's a lot of people that are putting these larger creators on blast, saying these people are not showing me appreciation, you know? And are they wrong? I'm not going to say that they're right or wrong, because that's the beauty of freedom. You have the ability to take whatever someone does or whatever someone writes, especially if it's something on a message board, because there's no emotion in that. It's just words on a page. You have the ability to interpret it any way you want. But it's hard being a big name and not being able to really sit down one day and say, I'm going to answer every single one of these comments. It's like Taylor Swift. I doubt she has all that time to answer her fan mail.
Probably not, but it's not like I have a million comments or anything. It's like I have comments, I have a lot of comments, but I do always try to answer like most of them. Sometimes, of course, I have just this week where I don't have the time to look at the comments, and if they are piling up a bit, it's just I can't answer them all. But I think it's so important that even though I'm gaining subscribers, I would much rather have fewer subscribers and the same comments, and just like fun people to interact with in the comments, or like instead of having 100,000 subscribers and people not interacting with you online, because it's much more fun to have this cool little YouTube family, people who enjoy watching your videos and you know, commenting and showing their support and their love. And I think that's just the beauty of all of this, that we can have these fun conversations and meeting people online. And it doesn't necessarily have to be with many subscribers. It's just a cool extra thing, and it, like, never in a million years that I think I would gain this many subscribers in like 5 years. It is still crazy, but it's definitely just a really cool thing that YouTube, you know, this whole YouTube thing. So happy I started my channel.
Yeah, it's quality over quantity when it comes to the people that are following us, because you're absolutely right. It's like, yes, I have 2,000 subscribers right now, but there are some of those subscribers that I do comment on and do communicate with more than others, but that's also because of the fact that there are not everybody has taken the ability to reach out and try to connect with others. I mean, like, it's not easy for a creator to go into their subscriber feed and take a look at every single subscriber and say, I'm going to say hello to that person. Maybe that person doesn't even want to be contacted. And also, the hardest thing is people do need to understand that just because of the fact that people aren't commenting does not mean that they're not watching.
No, exactly, because you always have more views than comments anyways. Like, I am guilty of sometimes watching videos without commenting. That's just the way it is, and that's what people, like, many people sometimes do.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to get to the last question here, and you may have actually been given this question by me when you did a Q&A. You may have, you may not have, but there's a chance you may have. But it's one of those questions that I really like to ask, because when people do Q&As, I want to give that person a thought-provoking question, not for the sake of featuring my deep thought and my intelligence, but again, it's really more for the sake of giving that person an opportunity to really show their genuine self. I like to do that because as someone who wants this community and this platform to flourish with people like you and I in the future, you know, I feel that the more we are truthful and honest and our true selves in the presence of strangers right now, that's the best thing to do as a content creator. So the question is, when the day comes that you decide to stop making videos, what is the legacy that you want to leave behind?
That is a very deep question. But no, I think if I were to stop YouTube and people were to maybe suddenly think of my old videos, for example, that I want them to be like happy and positive. And I always love reading comments where people say that if they watch a video of mine that they feel positive and that it makes their day, and that just makes my day as well. That makes my week, because I just love making these videos so much, and I hope that when I stop YouTube, that people might, you know, have the ability to also try to feel positive in times when it might not be a very great time. And yes, I do have my bad weeks, and I'm not always positive, and I'm not always happy. I'm super grumpy at times, but you know, I hope that people can just remember my videos and think that I like those videos and they make me happy, and that makes me very happy. And I really also hope that maybe people might have found a new favorite book through one of my videos. That would be really cool, because I remember when I read Sleeping Giants, that's like a long time ago, but I talked about that book so many times because I love that book. And then people started buying that book and reading that book and liking that book and sending me messages about them having bought that book and loving it, and that was just so cool. So I hope they may have found a new favorite book because of my videos. That would be just the ultimate goal, because books are just so good.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah, I mean, I'm very grateful that I discovered this community when I did, because when I started my master's degree, I had just started reading again like gangbusters. Like, I was reading all the popular books of the time. I was reading The Hunger Games. I read The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo trilogy. But when I officially started going to grad school, I put reading for pleasure on hold and really focused on my schoolwork. And then when I was officially graduating, I wanted to get back into reading, and I was like, where do I go from here? Like, what's new and exciting out there? And if it wasn't for the BookTube community, I would have never heard about The Maze Runner. I never would have heard about The Lunar Chronicles. I would have never heard about Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. So I have just been so appreciative of this community, because not only has it gotten me to read some books that I never would have known existed, But the booktube community also gave me the incentive to pick up books that I always had on my shelf and I never read. Thanks to booktube, I read Stephen King's It twice.
Oh my god, I don't think I will ever be able to read that.
And that book is now my favorite book of all time. It really is. So, and the fun fact about that book, I still don't own the movies. And the reason why I don't is because there are these rumors that the director of the film wants to make a version of the film called the Supercut. He wants to take It Chapter 1 and It Chapter 2, not only add additional scenes to it, but also wants to turn both movies into one single film based on the chronological order of the events happening in the book.
I have not read the book and I haven't seen the films, but that sounds like amazing if you love like that film and that book.
It's something that has never been done before in film. Never. I mean, I still remember that when Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows was split into two movies. That was a phenomenon. Unfortunately, there were certain books that didn't have to be split into two, and they were milking it for all they're worth. And as somebody who is not ashamed to admit that he watched those Twilight movies and how he wanted to kill himself after watching Breaking Dawn Part 1, I have punished myself for my watchers. I have watched all 5 Twilight movies, and I have watched all 3 50 Shades of Grey films. For you, everyone. For you. Have you...
But sometimes you just have to do it.
Britt, have you actually seen the videos that I made because of those?
I haven't, but now I'm definitely going to check those out.
When the camera goes off, we're going to talk a little bit more because, quite frankly, I don't know about you, but I wish that this conversation could just continue until the sun goes down over here because this is just too much fun. But one of the things where I was going here was something that you may not know, but it is something that I have been saying to a lot of people. I actually made the decision to change my channel's format after this year, because about 2 years ago, I sort of felt that the end was coming. Because one of the few things that I am trying to do right now is I'm trying to take the next step in life, and that is I would very much like to become a father. And I know that when that day comes that I will have a son or a daughter, or hopefully more, that there's going to be an entirety of my time dedicated to that child.
Of course, yeah.
And as much as I love doing what I do here, I have just been feeling that this format is going to be ending at the end of this year, but I still feel that my job is not done, because when I made a video back in, I can't remember if it was 2014 or 2015, but I made a video about my reactions to YouTubers being called out for sexually assaulting their fans. And I said, yeah, it was, I think you weren't even a content creator yet, but it was a big scandal that rocked the YouTube world. And I never in my wildest dreams imagined that something like that would happen. And that's when I said, as someone who was already going into his 30s, I said, I could be roped into this group of people just because of my age and the fact that I am male. I want to tell people that that's not why I'm here, My job here is I want to just talk about the things I love, but then I took it upon myself to say, because of the fact that I am an older person in this community, I want to be someone that people can look to as an influential role model. I want to help people. I want people who are starting out to know that it's not something that they should be afraid to do. They've got to be themselves. They've just got to talk about what they love. And I also said that whenever I subscribe to somebody, I let them know, if you need help, let me know. It's not about me wanting to get my name out onto other people's channels. No, I want to help people. I want the day that I choose, which is now December 31st, 2020. That is when my current format is done. And I start my new stage. And I go on this new path of my journey. I want these people to carry on the torch. I want them to be the same kind of presence that I was. Someone who just loved talking about what he appreciates, loves communicating with others, but also willing to share thoughts, share ideas, and also be willing to listen to other people and keep an open door and an open mind when someone comes to them and wants to just get some advice. That's the legacy that I want.
This inspired me, actually, so thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I wanted to ask you the same question, because you said that you often ask this question in Q&As. So I was just about to ask you the same question, but you already answered it. But that was I really loved hearing that, and that sounds so like nice and like a wise wizard.
Well, I do refer to myself as a wizard sometimes, because I'm never late, nor am I early. I arrive precisely when I mean to.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings, everybody, just in case you didn't realize. But no, it's just like I'm gonna be at the end of each month. Right now, I used to do something called a motivational moment, but if people have been watching my videos, they are noticing that, like, I'm saying, this is the last one, I'm stopping this, I'm going in a different direction. When next year rolls around, there just won't be some of these videos that people have been watching over the last 10 years, but I still will keep a couple of them. But what I would like to still try and do is I still would like to have the ability to just show up once a month and talk about things that I still love. So sort of like all these things that I've done on separate videos, sort of like, you know, a wrap up, just talk about things with people. But that's what it really is about. I kind of want to turn this platform more into one that is more engaging and actually more of a platform where it's not just me talking, but me sharing ideas with other people in real time. Basically, I want to do more live streaming with other people. I want to do more content with people rather than just me talking on the camera, because it will also be a lot less videos to make, unfortunately. But I feel that, you know, absence makes the heart grow fonder. I will be more excited to get back to the videos and record more if there is more of a driving force. That's my attitude.
That sounds really like smart as well. And with the live shows, definitely, if you just have a few moments, or like one moment a month or two, where you can really get deep into the conversation, that sounds so cool.
Yeah.
I love that.
And just so you know, as we've been having this conversation, the hamster in this wheel has still been turning. I thought of another idea for us to work on, but that's something we'll talk about outside, because we've unfortunately reached the end of our show, everybody. And like I said earlier, this is a conversation that is just fantastic, and I wish that it could continue, but we all have lives and we all have things that we have to do, unfortunately, today.
Unfortunately.
But Britt, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time. I really hope that you enjoyed yourself, and I'm also hoping that this was something that excited you for the sake of your large amount of subscribers to really see this side of yourself. So I'm really hoping that this is something that you will really carry with you. I'm glad to know that it inspired you, and I'm really hoping that for the rest of this year, as things hopefully get better and we keep driving towards that light at the end of the tunnel, that you will use this moment to just make some amazing videos for the rest of 2020.
Thank you so much. I had such a lovely time. Thank you so much for having me. And I just loved talking about all these topics and about beer and about Marvel and about anything.
That's great. I'm really excited to just watch this whole thing straight through and post it up on Monday morning on my channel. But everyone, I just want to say thank you all for watching. And again, for those of you who are going out today and tomorrow and the next day until change comes, stay safe, stay healthy. And I know that politics is not necessarily something that is a good thing to talk about these days, but if your local politicians are saying to you after you go to the protests, get tested for COVID-19, and there are test centers available, please listen to them, because the last thing that we want is a spike in COVID-19. This is an important cause, but we also have to worry about ourselves and our own personal well-being along with everybody else out there that is suffering. But everyone, thank you so much for watching, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all here again next month when we have another great topic of discussion. But as always, another great YouTuber to discuss it with. We'll all see you then. Hey, thank you so much for stopping by my channel today. If you're new here and want to see more of what my channel has to offer, please click on the link to my last video, or hit that subscribe button to be kept up to date with all of my uploads. Content of all sorts is posted here quite often, so trust me, you do not want to fall behind. I will see you in the comments, and actions speak louder than words.